Okay, yeah, so good evening and welcome to the fourth class. Yes. And we're going to continue from where we stopped. We were looking into custom views, okay, how to actually create a custom view, and we were able to create more of a fan controller view, custom view rather. Okay, so today we're basically going to be seeing how we can actually add some, interactivity with this view. Okay, how to add view interactivity. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen at about now so we can move. Okay, yeah, so if you can see my Android Studio, just raise your hand quickly. You can see my Android Studio, just raise your hand. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so basically what we want to do is to enable our custom view to perform some action, okay, when the user taps on it. Okay, so basically what we want to do is that each tap should move the indicator to the next position. So from off to 1, and then to 2, and then to 3, and also back to off. Okay, so basically if the selection, another thing is if the selection is 1, or probably it is higher, then we also want to change the background from one color to another. Okay, that's basically just indicating that the fan power is on or something. So the thing is, to enable your custom view to be clickable, okay, first of all, you need to set the views is clickable property to true. Okay, you need to set the is clickable property of to what? True. This just enables your custom view to respond to clicks. Okay. The next thing is to now implement the view classes perform click method. Okay, to perform operations when the view is actually clicked. And then the last thing we'll do is to call the invalidate method. Okay, the method basically tells the Android system to call the onDraw method so it can redraw the view. Okay, so now, okay, normally, okay, we actually implement on-click listener. Based in our standard views, we get to implement on-click listener to actually perform an action. But for custom view, you have to implement the view classes perform click method instead. Okay, and then you can actually call the super perform click method. So the default perform click method actually calls the on-click listener. Okay, it actually calls the on-click listener. So we can just add actions to our perform click and leave on-click listener, for maybe further customization and stuff. So let's just go straight into it. Okay. Now, let's go to our dive view class. Okay. Now, dive view class where we have this enumeration class where we got to list out the various fan speed. Okay. Now, inside of this class, okay, I'm going to add an extension function. Okay, I'm going to add an extension function called next. Okay, basically this function changes the current fan speed to the next speed in the list. That is from off to low, then medium to high, and then back to off. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, just basically just say fun, let's call it next. So it's a helper function. So this function, basically we're going to say, so when I'm going to pass in this, now this here becomes the fan speed. Okay, so when this, which is the fan speed, when it is off, okay, when it is off, you have to switch it to low. So when it is off, okay, so off to low. Okay, that's basically that, and then low to high. And then we have medium. So, okay, so it should be low to medium actually, medium to high. So medium, hope I spelled that correctly. Okay, yeah. and then from high, of course, so when it's to off. Okay, so this is our helper function. Okay, this is our helper what function. So this is basically what we'll do next. Okay, so inside this DAO view, in our DAO view class, okay, so just before this, okay, where it's on size change. Yeah, so here, okay, I'm going to now call I'm going to add an initialization block, and it's just because I want to set the views is clickable property to true. Okay. Yeah, so let's just do that. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to say init, yeah, so I'm going to call the is clickable property, and then I'll set it to true. Okay, so this property, of course, like we said, it enables the user to accept, user input for it to just respond to user clicks. Okay, now, so below this, I'm going to override the perform click method. I'm going to override the perform click method. So I can just type that out. Perform click, yes, you can see that here, returns a Boolean. So now what do we now do? So I'm going to say now, if my super.perform click, that's the super class, just then return true, else, but before the else, let's just do this, okay? Fan speed. We're going to say fan speed dot next. So this is our perform click function. And then, of course, there's the content description. So we can just do resources. So what's the description? Resources. Sorry, resources, yeah, dot get string. And then I'm going to call my fan speed dot label. Okay, so let's see. Okay, sorry, content description. I think I kept. Yes, that solves that. Okay, so after that, after we've set the description, the next thing is to what's the next step? We said invalidate. We call the invalidate method, and after that, of course, then we return true. Okay, so this is our perform click work function. So basically, this call to the super.perform click must happen first. Okay, it must happen first. That's what enables accessibility events, as well as the call to the on click listener. So it must happen first. Okay, so what we have here, okay, these next two lines just basically increases the speed, that's the speed increment, okay, of the fan using the next method. Okay, so you can see now we now update our fan speed. Okay, yeah, our fan speed now is updated using the next helper function that we created. And then of course we get to set the views content description to the string resource that represents that speed. Okay, so if it's off, 0 and the likes. Okay, and then of course what we have next is our invalidate method, okay, which invalidates the entire view. So it basically just forces a call to the onDraw method so that it gets to redraw the view. Okay, so the thing is, if something in your custom view changes for any reason, be it a user interaction, okay, and that change needs to be displayed, we have to call invalidate method. We have to call the invalidate method. So let's okay, so we have an error somewhere, so I think I need to find that. Okay, so a comma. Okay. Did I miss out something there? Okay, so I think I need to end this with a semicolon, right? And then close this guy. Yes, okay. So let's run this. I don't know if you'll be able to see emulator, but so let me share my whole screen so you can actually see the emulator. Yeah. Okay, so it's building. So let's actually just see how that was. How many of us were able to attempt what I actually told us to attempt? You know, to correct the positioning of the pointer. How many of us were able to do that? We were able to try it out. Fola and Erico. Okay, Philip has dropped off. Eric, were you able to find it out? Okay, so you can actually just reply on the chat while we wait for this to actually build and launch. Okay, so let's see. When we click, of course, we see it gets to move to the next one. What is 1? When you click again, it moves to 2. When you click again, it moves to 3. And then, of course, clicking again sets it back to 0. Okay, so that's actually what we have done. So for every click, okay, it means it has to redraw. It calls the undraw method to redraw that view. So that's why we have to call the invalidate what method. That's why we have to call the invalidate what method. Very, very important. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. So the next thing, let's use some custom attributes with our view. Okay, let's use some custom attributes with our view. Okay, so basically, we just want to show some, basic mechanics of using custom attributes with your custom view. Like, for example, you can define custom attributes for this DAO view class. We can actually, create and define custom attributes for this with a different color for each fan. Because if you notice when we were testing this out, of course, it's just green. When it changes to a low, a medium, or a high, we're having just green, but we can actually declare something, a custom stuff. So let's do that. So I'm just going to go to my resources, okay, and then values. So let me create an XML, a value resource file. I'm going to call this attr, that's for attributes. Yeah. Okay. So in here, let's create some attributes. So I'm going to do declare stylable, and then the name, of course, let's take the name of that class. Okay. And then, so the first attribute, okay, I'm going to say color. Let me just say color 1. I'm going to give it a name, color 1. And then we now need to pass the format. Okay, so I think okay, I think I'm going to sort that. So this should be a color. Okay, yeah, we're good to go. So let's just do this. So let's have a color 2 and a color 3. Okay, so we have declared what some stylable resource elements, okay, and it has 3 attributes. So the stylable element that we declared is actually called DAO view, and then the attributes, just 3 attributes, okay, color 1, 2, 3, and their format is that they take the color. The format is just like a type, okay, it's just like a type. So the type of this attribute is a color attribute, okay. So let's move on. So now let's go to I'll now go to our activity main. Okay. Now I'm now going to add attributes for the color 1, color 2, and color 3. And then I'll set the values to the colors. Okay, so this is basically what I'm going to do. So let's, on this DAO view, I'm just going to come here. So I'm going to use the app attributes, and then I'm going to say app color 1. See how I'm able to access that. So I can say color 1 should be, let's just play around, black, app color 2, let's just follow. Okay, let's use the 500, purple 500, and then app color 3. And then let's use purple 700. Let's look for another color that's a bit. Let's see, what other color do we have? Okay, let's see, purple 200. Okay, it's a bit different, so it's fine. Okay, so now, so in order to use it, yes, we have declared these attributes here in our DAO view in the XML, but in order to use it, okay, we need to actually retrieve them. Okay, we need to retrieve them. Now, by default, they're actually stored in an attribute set that's that is actually handled, to your class when you create it. That's if it actually exists. So we actually retrieve these attributes in our init block and then assign the attributes values to local variables for catching. So what are we basically saying? I'll go to my DAO view class. Okay, so inside this class, I'm going to declare variables to actually catch that CHE, to cache the attributes values. So I'm going to add some variables here. I'm going to say private var low color. That's the color for the low. Okay, I'm going to give it a default value of 0. So let's just duplicate that, and this becomes medium. And then this becomes high. Okay, so let's actually do that. We need to run. So in our init block, our initialization block where we have it's clickable, okay, that's where we now get to retrieve this. So this is just how I'm going to do it. Let's say context dots. Now we have this called with styled attributes. Okay, with styled attributes. Okay, and then it takes attributes as a parameter. Okay, it takes attributes as a parameter. So I'm just going to call our attributes, the one we created, okay, that has that name. Yes, so we're going to call that. And then the next thing it takes is the an array. Okay, so but we have that in our stylable. Yeah, our integer array. Okay, and then so let's open this up. Okay, and then we can actually now initialize. So for the low color, it's now going to be get color. Okay, and then I'm going to pass in the r.stylable, okay, .DAO view, which is the int array. Okay, and then I'm going to pass in the number. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I think we're good to go. Okay, so yeah, dots. Yeah, I think I missed something. So let's see. Okay, so let's quickly check. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, let me confirm something. Okay, code 1 and then the DAO view. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's see. So from that, we need to get the fan color. Okay. So where we created. So let me confirm color 1. Okay, so I need to be able to get that. Yeah. So this actually references this guy. Okay, so I'm going to just duplicate this. So medium. So medium should be color 2. And then high should be color 3. Okay. Yes, that's actually that. So basically what I've just done is to call this with start attributes extension function. Okay. So we're actually supplying the attributes and view, and then we are setting it to our local variables that we actually was just created. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. So now we're going to use these local variables in our onDraw method, okay, to actually set the dial color based on the current fan speed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something. So here I have paint.color. Where are you? Okay, so let's see. Okay, yeah, in our onDraw. So where I have paint.color, the if fan speed. Okay, so I'm going to replace this now with something else. So I'm just going to comment this out. So instead, I'm going to say paint.color. So the color is going to be, when fan speed, of course, when the fan speed, what happens? Good. So when the fan speed dot off, okay, when it's that property, okay, so fan speed, when it's off, we want the color to be, we have gray. Okay, so sorry, we're not supposed to use sorry about that, just this, yeah. And then when the fan speed, okay, so probably just, okay, when it's low, so when it's low, what do we want? We just basically call our listen, so call our low color. When it's medium, sorry, when it's medium, we'll call the medium color. And then when it is high, we'll call the high color. Okay, so let's see what that gives. Let's see what that gives quickly. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have here. Okay, yeah, so that's actually that. It actually works. So if you have any question, just raise your hand before we move on to something else. Okay, so well, no question. Okay, that means it's actually clear. So let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. So let's see. One more thing that we need to actually just play around with now is what's let's see. I kind of don't want to overstress this, but Let's add some more information to, okay. So I basically want just accessibility actually. Now, accessibility, how can we add accessibility to this? Okay, accessibility is a set of design, implementation, and testing techniques that enable your app to be usable to everyone. Okay, this is very important, okay? Including people with disabilities. That's what accessibility is all about. It's a set of design, implementation, and testing techniques that enable your application to be usable by everyone, including people with what disabilities. Now, common disabilities that can affect a person's use of an Android device could be, blindness, low vision, color blindness, deafness, or hearing loss, and maybe some restriction to what we call motor skills. Okay, so when you develop your apps with accessibility in mind, okay, you just make the user experience better, not only for users with these disabilities, but also for all of the other users. Okay, and then that's why Android provides, sorry, just a second, let me. Okay, yeah, so sorry about that. So Android actually provides some accessibility features, okay, by default in some of our views, like for example, the text view at the bottom. So when you create a custom view, okay, you need to consider how that custom view will provide accessibility features. Now, I don't know if you've used created a text view before that probably has a color and then there's a warning. When you click on that warning below, you see something about contrast. Okay, these are little accessibility guides to help you. Okay, so but when you now create your own custom view, you need to consider how that custom view will provide accessible features. Okay, and one of such is some spoken descriptions of your on-screen content. Okay, some spoken features. Now, one of them is what we call a talkback. Okay, I don't know how many of us know about the talkback. So your talkback is, okay, your talkback actually is actually an Android's built-in screen reader. Okay, so when you have your talkback enabled, okay, the user can interact with your Android device without seeing the screen actually, because Android actually describes the screen elements aloud. Okay, so users who have visual impairments might rely on talkback to use the application. So you can actually enable talkback actually. So just now, one of the ways to do it, okay, well, it's actually unavailable for Emulator and in some older devices, okay. But I may have to do that. I have to install Google Accessibility Suite application from Google Play. So for your own emulator, you have to install Google Accessibility Suite app from Google Play. You have to install it on your emulator. Okay. I currently think the emulator that I actually installed that on, I think I had to actually take it out because there was a lag. Yeah, I think there was a lag on that. But well, I guess I'll actually, and that'll take some time to set up. But let's just move on. Let's just move on. So I think I'll just send us a resource on how to actually, do how to actually enable that. Okay, but basically, this is, let me see if I can actually just show us a few things. Okay, let's see if I can show us a few things. Now, to actually make use of it, we would actually use it in our init block. Okay, now this is how we can actually use it. Okay, let's see, we call the view compact. Okay, the view compact class dot set accessibility. So you can actually see it, set accessibility what delegate, and you pass in the view, of course, which is this, and then the next thing you need to pass is what the delegate. So just as an object. So an object of type what accessibility delegate compact. Yes, that's actually what we're going to use, of course, and then yeah. So that is actually that. So inside here, okay, we're going to override a method called on initialize accessibility mode info. So let's do that. Initialize accessibility mode info. Yes, so this is it. So okay, yeah. So this actually takes the host, which is a view, and then the information, okay, the info. Okay, and so what we'll now do is below this, yeah, I'm going to create a variable, custom click, call it custom click. And this custom click is going to be equal to accessibility mode info compact, yes, dot accessibility action compact. I guess look for that guy. Yeah, accessibility action compact. And of course, this takes in an action ID and a label. Okay, so for the action ID, I'm going to call the accessibility mode info and get the action click. Okay, this is right here. Yes, I'm going to get the action click out for a label. I'm just going to just say, let's just say placeholder. Yeah, so I'm just going to say placeholder for the label. Okay, so what we're basically doing is that we're creating a new accessibility mode info compact. Okay, an object here. That's basically what we're doing. We're creating an object here, and then we created a variable called custom click. And what are we doing? We're basically just assigning this variable, this accessibility stuff, okay, the action, the placeholder. So we're assigning it to this custom click. We're actually going to make use of it. So the accessibility action compact class, okay, it actually just represents an action on a view for accessibility purposes. That's basically what it does. It just represents an action on a view for accessibility purposes. Now, a typical action is just like, it's a click or a tap. Okay, that's just a typical action, click or tap. Okay, so as you actually use now, but other actions can actually include gaining or losing focus. I think you should actually know what that means. Okay, gaining focus or losing focus. It could also be a clipboard operation, that's like maybe a copy and a paste. Okay, or probably scrolling within the view. Okay, so these are all what actions. Okay, so the constructor actually for this class now, the accessibility action compact. Okay, the constructor rather. Okay, it requires an action which is what the accessibility node info dot action what click and the what a string. So it basically just requires an action constant, which is the action click, and then a string that is used by the talkback to indicate what the action is. So the label indicates what the action is, and the talkback uses that to indicate what the action is. So instead of placeholder, I can now decide to say, let me do something. So action click, I can say, let me get context dot let's say get string. So do we have some? So basically, we just want to retrieve what a resource now. So for the specific resource now, we now need to, probably do a test. We need to actually do a test for the fan speed. So what are we trying to say? So that to get to tell us if it is a low or if it is a high or if it's a medium. Okay, so that's basically what's that. So how do we do that? Okay. So basically, if the speed is currently in high, then the string should be reset. If the fan speed is anything else, let the string be what change. That's just basically what we want to do. So so instead, I'm just going to say, so I'm going to do an if statement here. I'm going to say if the fan speed, okay, is not equal to, if our fan speed is not equal to, if it's not equal to fan speed dot high. So if it is not high, okay, let the string, sorry, r dot string, let the string be what change, sorry. Okay, I'm going to create that string resource, okay? So let it be changed, else, okay, else let's have reset. So I'm just going to create this string resource. So change, and then reset. Okay, so yes, that's for the string. Okay, that's what the talkback is actually going to use. Okay. So yeah. So the last thing we'll now get to do, okay, so let me break this down here. Okay, good. So the last thing we're going to actually do after we're done with, with this, we now we'll now do, so info, okay, so this info is from our super.uninitialize. So we use that to call add action, and then we pass in our custom click. Okay, and then of course, null safety. Yeah. So that's actually that. So this should work, though my talkback is not enabled at this time, but this should actually work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable my talkback. I don't think I want to start downloading the stuff on the class, because I have to log in my Gmail and stuff like that on the emulator. Okay, so but this should work, and then what I'll do is I'm going to run it, okay, once I enable talkback. But you can actually just try that, okay, on your own, enable talkback and then run it, and then you should get to once your talkback is on. Okay, now what you just do, that when you double tap to activate, okay, it is now either if the fan speed is actually less than the high, okay, you see, you have this double tap to reset. Okay, so I think I'm just going to leave you to just try it out and see what see what comes up. Okay, see what actually happens, when you actually, double tap, single tap, when you double tap actually. Okay, because simple tap is just for the movement from low to high, but when you double tap, okay, we get to see what this whole code we have actually written out, what it actually does. Okay, so summarily, what we've been able to look into is how to create a custom view that inherits the look and behavior of a view subclass. Okay, we're able to create a custom view of you can actually now create a custom view of any size and shape. You just add a new class that extends that view. You can override methods like, such as the onDraw to define these views shape and basic appearances. Okay, we have learned how to use the invalidate method to force a draw or redraw of a view. Okay, how to also optimize, the performance, okay, by, allocating the variables and assign some required values for drawing. Okay, we did, all that, okay, we actually saw the compute for Y speed, how to draw the circle, and a lot of stuff. Okay, we also saw how to override the perform click, how to work out interactivity with a custom view, how to create an attribute XML, okay, of which we used to set custom attributes for the view. Okay, so that's actually that. Okay, that's actually that. for creating custom views. Yes, that's actually that for creating custom views. Now we're going to next week. Okay, yeah, next week we're going to go into yeah, we're supposed to I was supposed to, but let's just finish this up. I'll still take us back to notifications. Okay, how to set up notifications using Firebase. Yes, I'll still set that up for us. So hopefully we get to actually do that next week. Yes, we get to do that next week. But also next week we'll get to dive deeper into so the next thing we're going to do next week is how to draw, drawing on canvas objects. Okay, that will also look into next week, and then doing some clipping. And so we're just going to do some graphics stuff, okay, so that to optimize how you actually create your custom views, your UI and the likes. Okay, so yeah, so just get set for that. We're going to be doing a little, so we're going to do, yeah, we're going to actually be doing some interesting stuff. Okay, we're going to do some interesting stuff. You've used a Paint app, especially for Microsoft, Microsoft. For some of us, I think our phones have, Paint, maybe your laptop or something. Yeah. So how can you do all those drawings on your mobile, on an application? Yes. So we basically want to create a view, custom view for drawing. So this is just some advanced graphics stuff, okay, to add to your wealth of knowledge. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll get to look into notifications next week also, and then get to move on. But for today, I think this is basically all we have to round up what we started earlier this week. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a task for the weekend. Yes, I'm going to give you a task for the weekend, but I'll drop that on the channel. Yes, I'll drop that on the channel so everyone can actually partake of that. Okay, so any questions before we round up? Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's why you guys are intermediate. You pick up things quickly. Okay, so in the absence of no other question, so thank you guys very much. Okay, so I'll see you on the Slack channel. And I'm going to be dropping your assignments this night, so look out for it. If you have not submitted the previous one, please do so this night also. Okay.